وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من شر نفسي ومن شر كل دابة أنت آخذ بناصيتها إن ربي على صراط مستقيم. اللهم عافني في بدني، اللهم عافني في سمعي، اللهم عافني في بصري. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم عافني في بدني، اللهم عافني في سمعي، اللهم عافني في بصري. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم عافني في بدني، اللهم عافني في سمعي، اللهم عافني في بصري. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب القبر. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب القبر. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب القبر. لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم رحمتك أرجو فلا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين، وأصلح لي شأني كله. لا إله إلا أنت. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم. For those joining us for Nafal Itikaf this weekend, at this time, alhamdulillah, after Fajr, we always have a question and answer session where we go through the questions that are put in the box in the lobby and try to cover as many questions as possible. Are braces permissible, or will it be considered as bodily modification, such as tattoos or piercings? So there's two things. One is تغيير خلق الله, and one is إزالة العيب. تغيير خلق الله is changing the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not permissible. And one is if there is a defect, then to correct the defect. That is permissible. So braces are painful and braces are not fun. No one puts braces on just for the sake of it, just to enjoy it, but rather if it's required or needed. So if it is medically required, then it would be permissible because you are fixing your teeth in the position of the teeth. So what is the important significance of the dua that is read between every 4 rakat during Taraweeh? So in Taraweeh, the Tarweeha is every 4 rakat. It's called Tarweeha, and after every 4 rakat, they used to take a break, a longer break, and they would make tasbih and dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there are different tasbihs which are mentioned. So Allama Shami rahmatullahi alayhi, he mentions one tasbih which became famous in the subcontinent. سبحان ذي الملك والملكوت سبحان ذي العزة والعظمة والهيبة والقدرة والكبرياء والجبروت سبحان الملك الحي الذي لا ينام ولا يموت سبوح قدوس ربنا ورب الملائكة والروح اللهم أجرنا من النار يا مجير يا مجير يا مجير. This can be read, or any other zikr can be read. There is not necessarily marfu' or proven directly from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is permissible zikr. Any other type of zikr could also be made. What is the difference between Aad and Thamud? These are two different nations from the early past. After Qawm of Adam alayhi salam came, after Adam alayhi salam came and populated the earth with his children, the first nation mentioned is Qawm of Nuh alayhi salam. After Qawm of Nuh came the nation of Aad. وَإِلَى عَادٍ أَخَاهُمْ هُودًا. Hud alayhi salam was sent to the nation of Aad. And they were known for وَقَالُوا مَنْ أَشَدُّ مِنَّا قُوَّةً. They were physically very strong. They were physically very strong people. And they disobeyed the Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as a result, they were destroyed by the wind. The wind came. سخرها عليهم سبع ليال وثمانية أيام حسوما فترى القوم فيها صرعا كأنهم أعجاز نخل خاوية فهل ترى لهم من باقية. They came, the wind came and destroyed them, and they were lying around كأعجاز نخل خاوية, like cut palm trees. Like when a hurricane occurs and how we have palm trees strewn around on the floor, that is how the Qawm of Aad's bodies were lying around. Then after them came the Qawm of Thamud. This was the nation to which the Nabi of Allah Salih alayhi salam was sent. وَإِلَى ثَمُودَ أَخَاهُمْ صَالِحًا. What was unique about these people were that they saw that the previous nation were destroyed by the wind. So كَانُوا يَنْحِتُونَ مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا آمِنِينَ. They thought they would be safe by carving their palaces in the rock, in the mountains. So they disbelieved in the Prophet of Allah, and they killed the she-camel that they had requested. They had requested a miracle, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you might have heard of the camel of Salih alayhi salam came out from the rock, and it was a pregnant camel, but the other animals were scared of it, and it was causing difficulty for their animals to graze and to get water. So they قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذا انبعث أشقاها. Ashqaha, the worst man from that tribe, he got up and he killed the camel of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a result, they all died through a screech of an angel. The scream of an angel made their hearts burst, from the fear and from the sound of that, and they died in their palaces. These are the Qawm of Thamud. All of these nations, the stories are mentioned for a reason, that those who had accepted Islam and followed the Prophet at the time, and they were successful, and those who rejected the Prophet of Allah were punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What if someone forgets to recite tasbih in one particular rukn in Salatul Tasbih? So if you were in ruku and you just forgot to recite the tasbih 10 times and just came up like a normal ruku, afterwards you realized, then what we covered this, what we should do is, we should make it up in the next rukn. But there's one caveat, one detail to that. Provided the next rukn is a ruku or a sajda or standing position. If the next rukn is a position where we briefly stand in normally in salah, which does not have an assigned dhikr, for example, qawma or jalsa, then you will skip it and go to the next rukn. I will explain through an example. So, if someone was sitting between the two sajdas and forgot to recite Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar 10 times, they came up from a sajda and then they sat for a moment and then they went into the next sajda. Then when they got into the next sajda, they realized, oh, I forgot to say it in the previous sajda. So they can make it up in the next sajda that they went into. Instead of saying it 10 times, they will say it 20 times. If someone forgets to make the tasbih in the first sajda, and when they get up, then they remember, they shouldn't make it up in this qawma, in this jalsa, in this sitting position, because this is a sitting position between two sajdas. Rather, they would just do the 10, and then when they were going to the next sajda, in the next sajda they would make up 20. Same thing happens with the standing position after ruku. If a person forgets in ruku and he stands up, then he wouldn't make it up in the standing position called qawma. You would make it up in the first sajda that follows. You'd make it up and make it 20. What happens if you're walking outside or traveling somewhere and then you end up getting licked by a dog? What should you do? This happens because people walk their dogs a lot here. So if the dog comes and licks your shoe, your pant, then this has to be washed. It has to be washed completely. Should be washed 3 times when squeezed. Meaning, literally, we have to completely wash it to purify it. We cannot perform salah with it, because it would make our clothes impure and najis. Is it permissible to do dhikr in public, like loudly, so other people can hear? Is it a form of da'wah? And how about saying Allahu Akbar? Okay, this is after. Yeah, it is permissible to do dhikr. Rasulullah said in one hadith, do so much dhikr until you are regarded as majnoon, until people think you are crazy. However, there are certain restrictions to that. We should not be disturbing people. If people are sleeping, or it's a resting time, or other things, common sense we should apply. But in general, if you are not disturbing anyone, then it is permissible to do loud dhikr. If everyone is doing dhikr at the same time loudly, of course that would be permissible to do loud dhikr. Can one simply follow any scholar's opinion, provided he trusts that scholar, even if that opinion goes against the mainstream scholars? This is very dangerous. We do not know what particular issue this question is about, so I cannot comment on the issue because I don't know what exact issue he's following. But if he himself is saying it's just one scholar's opinion and he goes against the mainstream scholars, then that is a red flag right there. Because one of the hujjah and the dalil in our sharia is the consensus of the ummah, the ulama of the ummah. It's called ijma'. So when we prove any masala of fiqh, any ruling of fiqh, the dalil and the evidence either comes from the Quran, that's number one. If not from the Quran, then from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If not, then through the ijma', which is a consensus of the scholars of the ummah. And then after ijma', the fourth Dalil is legal analogy, qiyas, deduction, ijtihad. So if all of the scholars are unanimous on a particular opinion, and then that lends its strength, and we should not go against that. Generally, these are just general principles. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Yadullahi ala al-jama'ah." The help of Allah is with the jama'ah. And لن تجتمع أمتي على الضلالة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Or لا تجتمع my ummah will not concur on all together agree on something which is a misguidance. If the entire ummah is agreeing on a particular matter, it won't be misguidance, inshallah. It's in the Quran as well. وَمَن يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولَ مِن بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى وَيَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى. Somebody asked Imam Shafi'i, rahimullah, can you prove that the consensus of the ummah is a dalil, is a evidence from the Quran? So then he quoted this ayah. He said that whoever يَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى وَنُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمَ. Which basically means that whoever adopts a path other than the path of the entire Muslim ummah, the way of the Muslimin, whoever adopts a different path, then he will be entered into the fire of Jahannam. So we should not tread a new path. The entire ummah is going one direction and we are coming up with some tafarrud. It's called the tafarrud, a single opinion contrary to the masses of the ummah. The consensus of the scholars of the ummah. This is a question: can a wife pluck her eyebrows at the request of her husband? Plucking the eyebrows is specifically been mentioned in the hadith as prohibited, but Sahibin and some scholars of the Hanafi fiqh, they specifically give permission if the husband is requesting it, and the wife, if she has the intention to please her husband, then there is some relaxation there. But not to, it is depending on her intention, not to attract other people, other opposite gender, other men, not for unmarried girls, etc. Will the Day of Judgment occur right after Dajjal is defeated? No, after Dajjal is defeated, the entire world will be, inshallah, accepting Islam, and it will be the rule of Imam Mahdi, and the entire ummah will have peace and prosperity, and Islam will be single religion of the world, and this will continue for a period of time. Slowly, the deen will become weaker and weaker and weaker, and then towards the end of time, the Quran will be uplifted, and the deen will be uplifted, and the knowledge of deen will be uplifted, and those who carry the knowledge of deen will be uplifted. حَتَّى لَا يُقَالُ فِي الْأَرْضِ Allah, Allah, until there will be no one left in the world who will be saying Allah, Allah. At that point, then the Qiyamah will occur. This person is saying, we've been trying to have children for a couple of years, and unfortunately we have not been blessed so far. All the tests were normal, alhamdulillah. Is there a specific dua we can recite for having children? There's a specific dua from the Quran. The dua of Zakaria alayhi salam, when Allah Ta'ala blessed him with Yahya alayhi salam in old age, despite the fact that his wife was barren. Rabbi la tadharni fardan wa anta khayrul warithin. Rabbi la tadharni fardan wa anta khayrul warithin. Rabbi la tadharni fardan wa anta khayrul warithin. Is it allowed to celebrate birthdays and Valentine's Day in Islam? If not, how should we tell our youth about it? So basically, this is, celebrating holidays of other nations, there are two categories. One are those that are religious observances. So that is absolutely impermissible, like celebrating Christmas, or celebrating a Hindu holiday, Diwali, or celebrating a Jewish holiday, Passover, or celebrating any religious holiday. That could include shirk in it, could take a person out of the fold of Islam, depending on what actions he or she does. So those are religious holidays. And then there are cultural holidays. So cultural holidays, and then regarding such cultural holidays, we find the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum." whoever adopts specific cultural practices of a nation will be considered amongst them on the Day of Judgment. So when we come to celebrations of other holidays, we see that when the Sahaba radiallahu anhu migrated from Makkah al-Mukarramah to Medina al-Munawwara, they found that the people of Medina used to have two celebrations during the year that they would celebrate. They were Persian holidays. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the beginning of spring, they would celebrate these two. They were based on the calendar year and the seasons. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Inna Allah qad abdalakuma bi'idain khayrun minhuma, huma Eidul Fitri wa Eidul Adha." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you two Eids in exchange for the 2 days of celebration, which are better. They are Eidul Fitr and Eidul Adha. So you can, when you talk to your little kids and you can explain to them that all the people are celebrating Valentine's Day, they're celebrating birthdays, are they celebrating Eidul Fitr? Why aren't they celebrating Eidul Fitr or Eidul Adha? They're not celebrating Eidul Fitr and Eidul Adha because they don't identify as Muslims. But you, my son and my daughter, you identify as a Muslim. You're a Muslim, you're a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're a reciter of the Kalimah. So you should feel proud of this. You should feel happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided you towards Islam. And you should feel sorry for those who are deprived of this guidance. And alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-Islam. Create a positive identity within the children that we have our Eid. And that is why you should, particularly with young children, we should make Eid a happy occasion, celebrate it so that all their desire that they have for celebrations when they see other religious people, their classmates and people at school and in their neighborhood celebrating other holidays, then you can remind them, remember we had the big Eid party and the whole family got together and had Eid presents. There's nothing wrong with that. That is good to celebrate our Muslim holidays so that the children have an outlet. Valentine's Day in particular has a lot of other harmful things that are associated with it, as it should be well known. Of course, everyone here knows that all premarital relations are haram in our deen, and it goes against chastity and the purity, and that we are supposed to remain pure and chaste until we get married. So things, Valentine's Day has a lot of associated problems. May Allah Ta'ala make it easy for our youth. Can a Sayyid from the family of Rasulullah ﷺ eat the food being served at a masjid, considering the fact that it can be sadaqah? So this is an interesting question. The family of Rasulullah ﷺ, the Sayyids, for them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Sharia has made zakat, farad zakat haram. We covered this in the zakat seminar. And I mentioned the hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ when he once saw Hassan radiallahu anhu, a little young boy, baby actually, toddler. He picked up a date. He was hungry, and he picked up a date from the date of sadaqat, the pile of zakat, sorry. And he put it in his mouth, and he was chewing it. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam opened his mouth and took it out with his fingers from his mouth. He pried open his mouth and took it out and threw it and said, "Oh my dear son, Allah has made this haram upon us." That reason was that for once and for all, it would put an end to any potential objection that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's purpose of prophethood was to establish a financial empire for his family. So all the zakat that would be collected, it was made haram upon the children of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what the purpose of the false prophets was, to gain dunya. And it was not something that had to be read between the lines, it was right in the lines. It was very explicit. The false prophet Musaylama al-Kadhab, he wrote a letter to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Allah has revealed to me. He wrote a letter to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He declared his prophethood while the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was still alive, towards the end of his life. And he wrote in the letter that this is a letter from Musaylama, the Prophet of Allah, to Muhammad, the Prophet of Allah. Now Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before he passed away, had become very strong and had conquered Makkah al-Mukarramah and was the undisputed leader of Arabia. So that's why he didn't deny his prophethood. He said that I'm a prophet of Allah, na'udhu billah, and I'm sending this letter to you as you are a prophet of Allah. I just received revelation from Allah. Guess what? That the world is supposed to be divided half between me and half for me and half for you. So it was very obvious that he thought that this was a means of monetary gain, prophethood. So that's why the zakat is made haram upon the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded back to him, Min Muhammadin Abdullahi wa Rasulihi ila Musaylamata al-Kadhdhab. This is a letter back from Muhammad, the slave and messenger of Allah, to Musaylama the liar. So that's with respect to zakat. Zakat is a farad obligation. But Sayyids can eat the sadaqah, nafal sadaqah. So the food that nafal sadaqah is any money that is given for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no restriction with nafal sadaqah. Nafal sadaqah can be given to a Muslim and non-Muslim. Zakat cannot be given to non-Muslim. Nafal sadaqah can be given to ghani and faqir, to rich and poor. Zakat cannot be given to a rich person. Nafal sadaqah can be given to parents and children. Even when you buy things for your children on Eid day, going back to the gifts on Eid, if you make the niyat, I'm buying this gift for my children so that this child can develop a positive identity of being a Muslim and celebrate Eid and become a good Muslim, then when you are buying things for your children, that is also sadaqah. In fact, it's the best form of charity. حَتَّى اللُّقْمَةَ تَضَعُ فِي امْرَأَتِكَ. Even the morsel of food you put in your wife's mouth, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is sadaqah. If it's for any other intention, other sakes, then it would not be sadaqah. It depends on the niyyah, what the niyyat is. If the niyyat is just to get her love and for her to love you back, there will be no additional reward in that. But if the niyyat is sadaqah, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this woman was entrusted in my care, this amatullah, this slave girl of Allah, I'll take care of her for the sake of Allah, then it will become sadaqah. So sadaqah can be given to families. Zakat cannot be given to parents. Zakat cannot be given to children. Zakat cannot be given to spouse. So many restrictions. And sadaqah can be given to family of Rasulullah. Zakat cannot be given to family of Rasulullah. So therefore, with the food that is served in the masajid, most of the time, I would assume, inshallah, it is not zakat. If it's zakat, then other people who are wealthy cannot eat it either. Right? It would be limited for, if it was zakat, food from zakat sources, zakat money, then it would be limited only to the extreme needy people, those who do not possess nisab. So it would be permissible for the sayyid to eat the food served at the masjid, inshallah. What should one do with the interest received in a savings account? Yeah, so this can be given out in sadaqah bila niyat al-thawab, without the intention that this is earned money, that's halal, that I will receive reward for it. You cannot deduct it from your zakat, you cannot deduct it from sadaqah, it should be distributed. Is the Jummah of a person who arrives after the Imam stands accepted or valid? So there are different levels when we perform the ibadah. One level is called Suqut al-Faridah, and one is called Husul al-Fadila. Suqut al-Faridah means the obligation is uplifted. I'll explain. And Husul al-Fadila is you gain all the virtues. So if a person joins the Jummah before the Imam makes the final salam, then he has fulfilled the minimum requirement, which is Suqut al-Faridah. The obligation is uplifted. The only meaning of that is he doesn't have to make dhuhr qada. Simply put, obligation of Jummah is uplifted because he joined the Jamaat before the Imam made the final salam. He gets up after the Imam makes salam and performs 2 rakat. He missed the khutbah, he missed the first rakat, he missed the second rakat. I'm not encouraging this by any means, but this is the mere minimum level, Suqut al-Faridah, that the obligation is uplifted. That means after that you have to perform 4 rakat dhuhr? No. The obligation of Jummah is uplifted. But you will lose out all the thawab. One Jummah to one Jummah, kafaratun lima baynahuma, it is a means of forgiveness of all the sins between one Jummah to the next. All the rewards, all the virtues are gone. When are they gone? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Man ata fi sa'at al-ula fakannama qarraba badanatan. The opposite end of the spectrum. Whoever is the first group who comes for Jummah, they will get the reward of sacrificing a full camel for the sake of Allah. وَمَنْ أَتَى فِي سَاعَةِ الثَّانِيَةِ فَكَأَنَّمَا قَرَّبَ بَقَرَةً. Whoever comes in the second group, they will get the reward of sacrificing a cow for the sake of Allah. وَمَنْ أَتَى فِي السَّاعَةِ الثَّالِثَةِ فَكَأَنَّمَا قَرَّبَ كَبَشًا أَقْرًا. Whoever comes in the third group will get the reward of sacrificing a sheep or goat for the sake of Allah. وَمَنْ أَتَى فِي السَّاعَةِ So we did, one was camel, second was cow, third was goat. وَمَنْ أَتَى فِي السَّاعَةِ الرَّابِعَةِ Whoever comes in the fourth group, فَكَأَنَّمَا قَرَّبَ دَجَاجَةً will get the reward of sacrificing a chicken for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَنْ أَتَى فِي السَّاعَةِ الْخَامِسَةِ Whoever comes in the fourth group, فَكَأَنَّمَا قَرَّبَ بَيْضَةً will get the reward of giving an egg for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَإِذَا خَرَجَ الْإِمَامُ But then, when the Imam gets up to start the khutbah, حَضَرَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الذِّكْرَ Then the angels that are writing down the thawab and counting the tally and the attendance, who is the first group, second group, third group, fourth group, fifth group, that's it. They close their books and they sit down to listen to the khutbah. Subhanallah. The angels themselves close their books to listen to the khutbah. And whoever comes after that will not get their name recorded. So, Husul al-Fadila, to gain the virtues of Jummah and the rewards, we have to come before the khutbah starts. Not before salat starts, but before the khutbah starts. And we have to be present for the entire khutbah and remain silent. This talk is not a khutbah of Jummah, so that's why it's permissible. If you're tired, you need to go to rest, you can get up and leave gladly. Welcome to leave, welcome to sit. It is optional. But the Jummah khutbah is different. It's different from other speeches. The Jummah khutbah, the two khutbahs, it takes the place of the 2 rakats of Dhuhr. And it is an obligation to listen. It is an obligation to remain silent. To the extent, مَنْ قَالَ لِأَخِيهِ أُنْصُتْ فَقَدْ لَغَى Whoever tells someone who is speaking, please be quiet, فَقَدْ لَغَى He is also committed a wrong act. It's impermissible to say be quiet, much less talking. And so listening is, in fact, even if you can't hear, in the past they didn't have microphones and they used to have huge gatherings. That's why in the books of fiqh it's mentioned, وَالنَّائِ فِيهِ كَالْقَرِيبِ The one who is far away, the wujub of insat, the necessity of remaining silent and listening, he can't even listen, so he has to just remain silent, is upon the one who is far, just like it is on the one who is near. Meaning, even if they didn't have speakers, they didn't have microphone and speaker system, PA system, and there's 10,000 people in the Jummah, he's far off in the back, he can't even hear a single word. He still has to remain absolutely silent. Absolutely silent. This is the hukum of the Jummah khutbah. There were two people who were talking in the khutbah to each other, and after the khutbah, Umar radiallahu anhu, he picked up a pebble from the floor. There was no carpet, it was sand on the flooring of Masjid Nabawi. So he picked up a pebble and he threw it at them, flung it at them. And then they saw a pebble coming, hitting them. They looked up who threw it. They saw it was Amir al-Mu'mineen Umar radiallahu anhu. So this is how he called them. This is how he got their attention, because he didn't call them verbally, otherwise he would have to raise his voice. So he flung a pebble at them. And then when they looked up, he had called them with his hand. He made ishara, indicated to come near. When they came near, he asked them, Min aina antuma? Where are you guys from? They said, we are min Thaqif. We are from the Taif, Banu Thaqif. The Banu Thaqif tribe was the tribe that lived in Taif. He said, لو كنتما من أهل البلد أوجعتكما. If you people were residents of Medina, then I would have inflicted pain upon you. Awja'a means to beat you until you suffer. But you are guests from Taif, so you don't know better. Therefore, I will inform you for next time. You are guests, you don't know. You don't have the opportunity for tarbiyah in Medina. So if you are a resident of Medina, you should have known better. That is absolutely impermissible to talk. This shows us the different tabaqat and levels, right? So sometimes when we are strict with the students at Dar es Salaam, I don't want to scare you. We'll say that, they'll say, oh, how come you're so nice with the guests? All the itikaf brothers, you're so nice with them. So we'll say that they are guests, you are students. And then you can quote this hadith of Umar radiallahu anhu, how he treated them at different groups have to be treated differently. So we keep you at a higher standard. SubhanAllah, you are at a higher standard because you are a student, so and you are going to be the alim tomorrow, so you need to be kept at a higher standard. Yeah, if the khutbah is going on, people are coming in and saying salam and talking to you and how you're doing, how's your Ramadan going, when they shake hands. So you just completely ignore them. Just look straight, and if they think you're mean, then you can explain afterwards that I did not mean to be a rude, brother, but the actual khutbah was going on. This is not a normal speech, and you remind me of two people from Taif. So you can say that, no, teach them, inshallah. Make it an educational experience for them, inshallah. So this is where we have both, like over here. This is one of the reasons why, if you started the actual Arabic khutbah at 1 o'clock, then only 2 saf are here. MashaAllah, the retired people. So everyone will be إذا خرج الإمام حضرت الملائكة يستمعون الذكر. So we have the podium one and the member one. Like physically, it's a different location too. From the podium, we give a dars, just a talk, and then the actual khutbah is from the member. So the actual khutbah is only 2 minutes. We make it so short and sweet for you, so that you can all maximum participation can get the khutbah. If you started the Arabic khutbah at 1 o'clock as many places, then the majority of the ummah is missing the khutbah. And this is not a bid'ah, because it is proven that in the time of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, before the khutbah used to be given, there used to be a dars of hadith of Abu Hurairah. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, from the Ashab al-Sufa, the 5,740 hadith narrator, the top student graduate from the Madrasa of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who narrated the most hadith. He was the teacher who used to give a dars before the Jummah in Masjid al-Nabawi. And that was separate from the khutbah. The reason I'm mentioning this is people say that, oh, you're doing a new bid'ah, you're doing 3 khutbahs. It's supposed to be 2 khutbahs and you make 3 khutbahs. So we are saying is, that's why if we did it from the minbar, we climb on the minbar and we do 1 English talk, then we sit down and do 2 Arabic talks, that would be 3 khutbahs. There's a reason behind why we physically don't do it from the minbar. To give we do so many talks, so many seminars, so many programs, the whole itikaf. Did we ever go on the minbar? It's nice up there. We don't sit on the minbar just because we can feel better up high. No, we don't sit on the minbar because that is special for the khutbah. That's why when you come in, you see someone sitting here, you see someone standing there, you can talk if you need to talk, but you go out in the lobby and talk. Right? You can go out in the lobby and talk. It's not wajib to just listen. But when you see someone sitting on the minbar and it's Jummah time, then you know that this is the khutbah. And it gives the importance. So that's why then you would sit down and you would participate. You must participate and not talk. The Eid khutbah is wajib to listen as well. So what happens many times right after the salah, people say Eid Mubarak and start hugging each other, right? And the khutbah they miss out. So that's why we have to remind that no, the khutbah is wajib to listen to. We give the bayan before the Eid salah and we give the khutbah after. The khutbah is after the salah. It's wajib to listen. Can a person read from a mushaf in nafil salah? So, in the Hanafi fiqh, this is considered talqeen min al-kharij, meaning gaining, you are gaining a hint, or not only a hint or getting indication, but rather you are reading the whole text from outside of salah. Even if you're performing salah and you get stuck somewhere, you're reading loudly, somebody corrects you who's outside of salah, that'll break your salah. For someone to correct you and your salah to be valid, that person has to be performing salah behind you. If someone from outside corrects you, then that would break your salah. So if you are gaining help from outside of salah, this will break your salah. Plus this is tashabbuh bin Nasara. This is adopting similitude with the Nasara who stand in the churches with their Bibles and pray. So that's why Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi says that salah itself is invalid. Sahibain Imam Abu Yusuf, Imam Muhammad says makruh. In other madhahib, in Shafi'i fiqh, it is permissible. Can a person recite loudly in nafil salah? Yes, it is permissible to recite loudly. In the night salah, if he's performing nafil, it's preferable. In the day, if he's performing nafil, it should be silent. The day prayers like Dhuhr and Asr are silent. The night prayers like Fajr, Maghrib and Isha are loud, Jahri. Is it permissible for a male to get ear piercings? This falls under tashabbuh bin nisa, adopting similitude with women. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La'an Allahu al-mutashabbihina bin nisa wal-mutashabbihat bin rijal." The curse of Allah descends on those men who adopt similitude with women, and on those women who adopt similitude with men. So ear piercings is for women, it's permissible, but not for men. What is the solution to the feminism crisis and how to protect our girls? This is a very important question because we are living in such a day and age when the entire culture is changing, gender roles are changing, and our girls are getting bombarded with very confusing messages from society. And how we can protect our girls is that we have to take this very seriously and talk about gender roles from a young age and make each gender proud in their gender identity. And there's no reason for them to feel inferior. Feminism, believe it or not, comes from an inferiority complex. They gauge themselves as based on the accomplishments of men. And they try to compete with men in that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given men a particular advantage. And they find that they are not satisfied with their own position until they can accomplish everything that a man can do. Whereas they should be proud of and happy with the role that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them, the responsibility that Allah has given them. So we should make the girls feel proud and happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you a girl. Allah ta'ala has given you a specific role. Teach them what the roles of motherhood are, what the roles of being a wife are in Islam. When the appropriate age comes, not necessarily so young, but as they grow older, and give them a positive feeling. You should praise them that, oh, your hijab looks so well, so nice, your hijab looks beautiful, and you look so modest, you look like beloved slave girl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will be so pleased to see you because you are following the deen. So give them that positive feeling so they do not need to start comparing themselves with men. Why is it that if men are leading salah, then women cannot lead salah? If a man can give the khutbah on the mimbar, why can't the woman come on the mimbar? Right? All of these questions are coming about now, and different women-only masajid are coming about in this country. The women's movement, women's lobby, women's liberation movement, right? So they're not realizing that there are specific roles for which Allah, roles for women, and there are roles for men. And there's distinct roles for each gender. So there are things that women can do that men cannot do. Imagine if you had a boy who says that, you know, I love children, I want to deliver a baby. Why is it that my wife will be delivering all the babies? When I grow up, I want to have 4 kids. My wife can deliver 2 babies, I want to deliver 2 babies. That's fair. We will say that, no, you cannot deliver a baby, you are a boy, right? So this is, or you say that, if I want to have that bonding experience with my child. I love my child. I want to suckle my baby. I want to breastfeed my baby. It just cannot happen. Allah has created the mammary glands in the woman. So if you find that ludicrous, we find that obviously wrong. So the same thing is, if the woman says that, why can't I become imam? Because imamat in salah is a specific responsibility for men, and these are specific responsibilities for women. Now instead of being proud about those specific responsibilities, how much reward they get for childbirth, how much reward they get for the sabr doing delivery, how much reward they get for taking care of the babies, that is something so rewarding. It is a unique thawab in that. But that which makes a woman unique is now considered a burden upon women. It's considered that which brings them down. So it's no reason to be proud or happy, but rather to consider it a burden. That is the problem with the society. So we all have to be vigilant regarding this and make our daughters and sisters and understand that they contribute as a woman. And there's no reason for them to gauge their success and their value based on accomplishments of men. If men are in the Marines, Why can we not be in the Marines? Not the Army, Coast Guard, Navy, Air Force, in the Marines itself. Right? So they have this desire. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has physically made the male different, psychologically the male is different, emotionally the male is different. There are many unique attributes women have that make women unique, and special qualities they have. Allah ta'ala has given them, which they have amazing amount of tolerance to pain, to subhanallah, sabr with children, that Allah Ta'ala made them the caretaker of children, primarily created that link between the mother and the child, which the father can never replace. The father does not have that level of capacity of sabr, besides the biological, physical limitations. So now the male father is a Marine, so the mother wants to be a Marine soldier too. There was, I mentioned this before, I think I read in an article one time that there was a pilot program for women to train to become Marines, and they had to put like 150 pounds or so, I don't remember the exact number of pounds of equipment on, and they had to march like 50 miles in the Arizona desert for training. They kept on going. There were about 50 women who started off, and 5 made it. The other ones, they did not give up. They did not get tired in the heat. They did not get tired with the weight, and they did not sit down. They kept on going until when? Until their hips fractured. Literally, they kept on going. The hip doesn't just fracture by itself without any indication or pain. There's pain you feel first, and that's an indication to stop. You're going in excess, you can't handle it anymore. But there was a will, mind over matter. The mind was the no, we have to prove it that we're no less than a man. There's no reason to prove it. Allah made you unique. What are you trying to do? Why are you trying to become a male? You are a woman, you remain a woman, be proud of being a woman. So actually, the feminists, ironically, are the one who make the standard of success the male. Who makes the standard of success the male? The feminist. That's the greatest irony of the whole thing. And then they compare to men and say that we need to do everything a male is doing. So we have to have candid discussions regarding this. May Allah Ta'ala protect all our girls. That is why there are a lot of marital problems. There are a lot of issues that many young couples, they just recently get married, spend thousands of dollars, take loans for their big wedding bash, but then within a few months, they're talking about divorce. Na'uzubillah. Why? Because the gender roles are not identified. One university I recently went, not recently, like a couple of years ago maybe, I went to an MSA conference and I was talking about this topic in greater detail. The whole subject was about this. So I asked the audience, if there's a boy who got married to a girl, and the boy's job is in New York and the girl's job is in Los Angeles, where should the family live? So believe it or not, everyone was scratching their heads. This is such a tough question. I said, wow, is it really that tough? You understand? The boy, the man, the husband, his job is in New York City, and the girl's job is in Los Angeles. Where should they live? Where do they need to move, huh? So then I said, is it so hard, right? East to west. So I actually chose the East Coast and West Coast so that this option of Chicago in the middle should be there in the minds. So this is so difficult. It's so difficult to understand that this is a unit, family unit of husband and wife and children to come, inshallah. So there is a head of this unit. May I be so bold to say that the husband is supposed to be the head of the unit. So many places, alhamdulillah, may Allah accept, I had the opportunity and honor to speak about women's rights in Islam. Till today, I have never been asked to speak about husband's rights in Islam. Or no one ever said about men's rights in Islam. No one ever talks about this topic. So what happens is, the husband is supposed to be the leader of the family unit. He's not supposed to be a hard-fisted dictator. He's supposed to take mashwara. He's supposed to take consultation with his family members. But then he has to make a decision, and then the family goes with the decision of the husband. Wherever the husband has to move. If he is willing, if he wants to give up his job in New York and he look for something else in Los Angeles, that's fine. But if he says that I can't give up this job, I have to stay here in New York, then the wife has to have two options. Does she want to remain in the marriage? Then she has to live in New York. And if she doesn't want to remain in the marriage, then she can continue with her job, pick career or the husband. She has to make that choice. So why does she have to compromise on this matter? Because there is an Amir of the family, and the Amir of the family is the husband, the father of the children. The woman is the heart of the family. She has a role too. So that's why, is it in every scenario, every single scenario, the man trumps the woman, the man's rights are greater than the woman? No, it depends. It depends on the relationship. Within the husband and wife relationship, the right of the husband is greater than the right of the wife. But then, who do I owe my loyalty most to? Rasulullah was asked, he said, Ummuk, your mother. Then who do I owe my loyalty most to? He said, Ummuk, your mother. Then who do I owe my loyalty most to? He said, Ummuk, your mother. No one cries foul here. This is discrimination against fathers. That right of the mother, then the right of the mother, then the right of the mother. Thumma abu, then the father. So the right of the mother is greater than the right of the father. Meaning if the husband is saying something, the wife is saying something, the wife has to follow what the husband is saying. But if the father is saying something and the mother is saying something, then the child will follow what the mother is saying. Because the right of the mother is greater than the right of the father. So it depends on the relationship. The mother is a female, supposed to be. Now that is also debatable now. And the father is supposed to be the male, mother is supposed to be female. So the right of the mother is greater, the right of the female is greater than the right of the male in this scenario. The other scenario is the other way around. So this is a big topic, and things are going from bad to worse very rapidly. Gender, it's not, the gender roles, subhanAllah, are completely blurred now, and gender fluidity, and people identify themselves as one gender and biologically another gender. See, this goes back to, in philosophy they have the discussion, is truth absolute or relative? So relative means that the relativity of truth is the concept of the postmodern philosophy that is not one absolute truth and one absolute falsehood. It's based on a person's own opinion. Something may be true for me, may be false for you. We don't believe in relativity of truth. Islamically, our aqidah is that there's objective truth and objective falsehood. Truth is clear. Al-haqqu bayyin, al-halalu bayyin, al-haramu bayyin. Clear. Truth is absolutely true, and there are false which are absolutely false. For everyone, universally. It's not based on what I think or what you think. So, now the relativity has gone so far that people are denying the actual biology. You may physically be a male, but then you want to call yourself female, so you're female. You're physically a female, want to call yourself male. Whatever you feel like. May Allah Ta'ala protect us. So we have a few questions. Na'udhu billah. Is it permissible that if a man, just to warn his wife or scare her, if he gives her talaq? Na'udhu billah. If a person uses these words, this is very important for us to know. In this Ramadan itself, one of the nights when we had Taraweeh, post-Taraweeh, Khatiras, I spoke at length about this already, and now this question came. It is, it's on the website, I believe, post-Taraweeh Khatiras, and I hope they put titles on it based on the subject matter, so you can look it up. It's very important to listen to that. But I will not repeat the whole Khatira, but I will just summarize it in 1 or 2 minutes. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I just mentioned, this goes in with the previous question. Since the husband is the head of the family, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given special responsibilities to that head of the family, that if he decides, now, may Allah forbid, it reaches the point that the marriage has to be ended, then he has responsibility to end the marriage. And there are certain words that a husband would say to end the marriage, and they can be given in any language. In Arabic, the word is talaq. In English, the word would be divorce. So if he says, I have divorced you, then this would actually be effective. Whether he intends it, or whether he is joking, or whether he says it out of anger, or otherwise, or out of jest, or joking, it doesn't make a difference. They will all be effective, equally effective. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Thalathun jidduhunna jiddun wa hazluhunna jiddun." There are three matters that if they are said intentionally, they will be effective, and if they are said in jest, without intention, they will also be effective. An-nikahu wa talaq wa al-itaqu. Nikah, marriage, and talaq and itaq, emancipation, freeing a slave. So talaq is effective. So therefore we should be very careful and never use these words as a male, as a husband. You should never say to our wife that I have given you divorce, or I have given you talaq, or if you don't do this, I'll give you talaq. You make a conditional statement, because she may not do it and then the talaq will fall, and then we would have to cry over what has happened. So please take this matter seriously. Specifically, or especially I should say, giving 3 talaqs at one time. They're never supposed to be given at one time together, 3 talaqs, because then the marriage will become irrevocably, they'll be irrevocably separated. They cannot get back together again. So we should be very careful regarding that. What is Taraweeh 8 rakat or 20 rakat? So this matter is again another issue that we have had a whole seminar on it, setting the record straight, Taraweeh rakat 20 or 8. It's on the website of Darussalam. It's a whole 1-hour seminar just on this topic. So in summary, the thing is, there is 2 prayers. One is called Qiyamul Layl, Ibadah at night, and one is called Salatul Taraweeh. And Aisha radiallahu anha has a hadith regarding Qiyamul Layl. In the time of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, this is a well-established fact, all the Sahaba radiallahu anhum got together and they performed Taraweeh in the Masjid al-Nabawi. Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu, aqra'uhum Ubay ibn Ka'b, the greatest Qari, was appointed to be the Imam, and they performed 20 rakats. In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they performed it 3 nights Taraweeh, and thereafter Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah will make it farad upon the ummah, so we will not perform in Jamaat anymore. So they were performing it individually. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu only had 2 years of Khilafah, 2 Ramadans, and he was busy fighting the Ridda wars against the Murtaddeen, so he never paid attention to the Taraweeh matter. But Umar radiallahu anhu, when he saw that people were performing it in different groups, he said, now the deen is complete, it won't become farad anymore. So that was the reason the Prophet ﷺ said that we should have separate Jamaats. Let us go back to the original practice. The reason for separating the Jamaats does not exist anymore, so let us perform it together in one big Jamaat, and he established the 20 rakat. And since then, in Masjid al-Nabawi, in Masjid al-Haram, in Makkah al-Mukarramah, till today, the Khulafa Rashidin came and went, it was 20 rakat. The Banu Umayyah came and went, it was 20 rakat. The Banu Abbasiyah came, 20 rakat. Khulafa Uthmaniyah came, 20 rakat. The post-Khilafat era is 20 rakat. So, Shaykh Atiyah Muhammad Salim, he wrote a book that over 1,000 years of Taraweeh in Masjid al-Nabawi were the Imams in the different eras. In the Khilafat of Usman radiallahu anhu, Ali radiallahu anhu was the Imam. In the Khilafat of Ali radiallahu anhu, who was the Imam? All the different Imams of Masjid al-Nabawi. And he proved that continuously for the past 1400 years was always 20 rakat. It was never 8 rakat. So then, when Umar, she did not say this is bid'ah, and she was very vocal, very, very vocal. As we learned later from the Battle of Jamal, she was very vocal. And she would have spoken out if she thought it was a bid'ah. It is her hadith that narrated by her that people use. That she narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, مَا كَانَ يَزِيدُ فِي رَمَضَانَ وَلَا فِي غَيْرِهِ عَلَى 11 رَكَعَةً. In Ramadan and outside Ramadan, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to perform 11 rakat. And 11 rakat means 8 rakat plus 3 rakat with her. So, the placement of the hadith is important. All the scholars of hadith, they place this hadith in the chapter of tahajjud. They don't place this hadith in the chapter of Taraweeh. So they place the hadith in the chapter of tahajjud. This is regarding tahajjud prayer. In the hadith, the wording itself is fi Ramadana wa la fi ghayrihi. In Ramadan or out of Ramadan. So that means that she's referring to a prayer that is performed throughout the year. What are the differences between tahajjud and Taraweeh? Tahajjud is performed throughout the year, Taraweeh is performed in Ramadan. Tahajjud is performed after you get up from sleep, Taraweeh is performed before you sleep. Tahajjud is performed individually, Taraweeh is performed in Jama'ah. Taraweeh, the entire Quran is made khatam of, in Tahajjud there is no such stipulation. Taraweeh is 20 rakat and Tahajjud is 8 rakat. So they're 2 different prayers. So the problem comes from considering them to be one prayer, taking the hadith of Aisha pertaining to Tahajjud, applying it on Taraweeh and saying Taraweeh is 8, whereas it is 20. That's the summary of the discussion. The word Taraweeh also means, it's a plural. In the Arabic language, there's singular, dual, and plural. Wahid, tasniya, jama'. So after 4 rakat, you take a break. That's tarweehatun. After 8 rakat, you take 2 breaks. That would be tarweehani. Tarweehani. 8 rakat is not Taraweeh, linguistically as well. Taraweeh means a minimum of 12 rakat, because it's a plural of tarweeha. So after 4 rakat is 1 tarweeha. After 8 rakat is tarweehan. 12 rakat and onwards is Taraweeh. So to be 8 rakat, you wouldn't call it Taraweeh, you would have to call it Tarweehani. Like Muslimun, Muslimani, Muslimuna. Muslimun, 1 Muslim. Muslimani, 2 Muslims. Muslimuna, many Muslims. It's permissible to do fewer than 20 rakat, and it's permissible to do 0 rakat, 2 rakat, 4 rakat, 6, 8, 10, 12, any number of rakat. The problem is that people say that the sunnah is to do 8, and anything beyond that is a bid'ah. Umar, that is where it is wrong. To say that it's sunnah to do 8, and whoever is doing more than 8 is doing a bid'ah. If a person is tired and it's a sunnah to begin with, so he does 6 or 4 or 12 or 8. But sunnah mu'akkadah, he should try to do all 20. Allahu Akbar. So these questions, we actually covered these in the tafsir this month, as well as we had the Q&A last year. That's a long time ago, but even this year in Ramadan we covered this masla of can we eat the meat of Ahl al-Kitab. So again I refer you, when we did Surah Al-Ma'idah, in the beginning, in the 6th juz, I covered this in the Khatira, about eating the meat of Ahl al-Kitab. Those who were here in the tafsir, they will remember, but there's a much bigger audience now. Bottom line is that meat of Ahl al-Kitab, Allahu Akbar, is permissible because the Quran says so. وَطَعَامُ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ حِلٌّ لَكُمْ. However, this is when a Jew or a Christian slaughters an animal and takes the name of Allah, takes the name of God. And that is not the condition of the meat found outside. The meat found outside, they are not taking the name of God when they slaughter it. That's why it is not halal. If the Ahlul Kitab, the people of the book, the Jews and the Christians, if they start eating pork, doesn't make it halal. If they start eating strangled animals, unlawfully cut animals, doesn't make it halal. So if they eat mayta, animals not slaughtered Islamically, then just because they're eating it doesn't make it halal. It's only halal if they slaughter an animal in the proper manner and take the name of God. Then it would be halal. These are some new questions just came in. What if the decision of the head of the house, husband, is illogical and not smart? His reasoning is not logical. He is not changing his opinion with talk advice. What should the wife and baligh adult children do? You need to talk specifically regarding your issue with a counselor, mentor, sheikh, or someone, what your specific issue is, if you have this in your family, because I don't know what the specific issue is. But of course, there is a head of the family. Doesn't mean that he's going to be innocent. You could make mistakes. You could end up abusing his authority. So just like girls have to be trained what their responsibilities are, men have to be trained to be men, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a husband, what it means to be a father, and to take the responsibility seriously, and to be good role models for their children, and not to be illogical, to be smart. Just like what you're mentioning in the question, this means lack of tarbiyah, lack of training, lack of education. That's why he's making potentially these mistakes. So the wife and the adult children, they should try to advise him or find someone who can advise him. Reach out for help in the community, any sheikh, any alim that can talk to this individual, try to talk sense into him, and make dua for the individual, try to guide him. So this is a new question. If you had $7,000 example last year and it grew to $9,000 next year, what amount is the zakat due on? Should you give sadaqah after taking out zakat on the bigger amount, or can you give sadaqah and give zakat on the total minus sadaqah amount? It depends on the date that is due. So a person had $7,000 last year, then it grew to $9,000. On the zakat due date, if the person has $9,000, the entire $9,000 is zakatable. Okay? And if they have a plan to give sadaqah, so be it, as a plan in the future, the entire 9,000 is zakatable. If they discharge the sadaqah and they give $1,000 in sadaqah, they actually take it out, then of course the 9,000 won't be zakatable, 8,000 will be zakatable. So it depends on whether you actually take out the sadaqah or not. If you're planning to in the future, the entire amount will be zakatable. If you actually give it out in sadaqah, then the remainder will be zakatable. Can you share the hadith on those parents who lost children after they were born? Yes, there are many rewards for this. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that those parents who they lose their children and they make sabr and they make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they do not complain about the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the taqdeer of Allah ta'ala, then inshallah these young children will be a means of intercession for them in Jannah. Will intercede on behalf of the parents and will make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah ta'ala bring our parents into Jannah. We want to be with our parents. So this is a great reward. May Allah ta'ala make it easy. It's a very grave tragedy for the parents to bury their own children. They never expected that. They expected the children to bury the parents, but here the father is burying the child, the mother is burying the child. This is a very great tragedy. May Allah make it easy. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Inshallah we will perform Khatam of Surah Yasin, and then we make dua, then we can rest inshallah.